So welcome all for today's lecture of design of steel structure. So we are learning the design of riveted connections. I am Mr. S.S. Sogule, Assistant Professor, Civil Engineering Department. So as for now, we have seen the connections, then riveted connections, types of rivets, method of riveting, and symbols, types of riveted joint, that is lap and butt, the failure of riveted joints, assumptions. Today we are going to see the specification of riveted joints. So these specifications has been given by the IS 800 1984. There is another IS 800, that is new revision of 2007, which is which have addition of the limit state method. But although we are focusing on working stress method for this course, so we are going to refer the IS 800 1984. So what are the specifications which are given by the IS standard? The first, members meeting at a joint. The centroid axis of a member meeting at a joint should intersect at one point, and if there is any eccentricity, adequate resistance should be provided in the connection. So, as here you can see in this picture, all the connections are on, all the forces are meeting at one point. So, this should be maintained. Then, the center of gravity. The center of gravity of group of rivets should be on the line of action of the load wherever practicable. So as here you can see, this is the group of rivet and the group CG lies over here. So the CG of this member lies over here. So the load passing through CG and the CG of connection should coincide wherever is possible. These two clauses has been these two things has been given in clause number 8.3, page number 93 of IS 800. Then the permissible stresses in rivets and bolts has been given in table 8.1, which is under clause 8.9.4, page number 95. So here you can see the description of fasteners has been given, power driven and driven rivets, axial tension, shear and bearing values are given over here. These are for shop rivets, and for field rivets, as the note is given over there, for field rivets the permissible stresses shall be reduced by 10%. So as we know that in shop or in factory we have the better control on quality as compared on the field, so that's why we are reducing these stresses by 10% on the field. Now the gross area of rivets and bolts as per clause number 8.9.2. The gross area of rivet shall be taken as the cross sectional area of the rivet hole. The area of rivet and bolt hole. The diameter of the rivet hole shall be taken as the nominal diameter of the rivet plus 1.5 mm for rivets of nominal diameter less than or equals to 25 mm and 2 mm for rivets of nominal diameter exceeding 25 mm unless otherwise specified. And the diameter of bolt shall be taken as the nominal diameter of the bolt plus 1.5 mm unless specified. So for the rivet, it is nominal diameter plus 1.5 for the up to 25 mm and above the nominal diameter plus 2 mm. And for the bolt for the entire range, it is nominal diameter plus 1.5 mm. Now the pitch. What is pitch? So here you can see it is the distance between center of two consecutive rivets. As here you can see, this is the angle and this is the pitch for that angle. This is the distance between two consecutive rivets. And here in case of the wide plate, it is in the perpendicular direction of force. That is distance between two consecutive rivets. And gauge, that is G, these two notations has been we are using while choosing the sections or preparing the drawings. So it is the distance between rivet lines or center distance between two consecutive rivet lines measured along the width of the member or connection. So this is the gauge, that is, if the plate is wide, so it is measured like this, and for the rolled section it is measured in the direction perpendicular to the force. So this is we need to remember, for wide plates it is different, and for the rolled section it is different, and all these things has been mentioned in steel table also. Now the minimum pitch. The distance between center of adjacent rivet should not be less than 2.5 times the nominal diameter of the rivet. And the maximum pitch should not exceed 12T or 200, or whichever is less in compression member, and 16T or 200 mm, whichever is less in case of tension member, when the line of rivets lies along the line of action of force. If the line of rivet does not lie in the line of action of force, the maximum pitch should not exceed 32 T or 300 mm, whichever is less, where T is the thickness of outside plate. Now the A distance. What is the A distance? Here you can see it is the distance between the center of rivet hole to the edge of the member. Here and here you can see. Now what are the criterias? The A distance, the minimum A distance, approximately 1.5 times gross diameter of a rivet measured from the center of rivet hole, is provided in the rivet joint. So table number 8.2 gives us a minimum A distances as per recommendations. So here you can see, for the diameter of these holes, this is the gross diameter. The distance of sheared or hand flame cut edge and distance of ruled machine flame cut or sawn or planed edge has been given. Why it is less and it is more? Cause in hand cut or sheared section we don't have that much accuracy, but in case of machine cut we have the accuracy, that's why the distance is less over here. Now the tacking rivets. So these are used to make a section act as a unison, or to prevent the buckling of compression member where two or more members are in contact. Where you going to use the two members uh, to act as a single unit. So to make them act as a single unit, we need to stitch them at the regular intervals, and that stitching done by rivet is called as a tacking. Even the welding has been also done by the same method, so that they will not fall apart when the force acts on them. And the packing. These are used to make the surfaces of the main plates to be joint flush. So if we have the we are going to connect the two plates of different thicknesses, so we need to provide a plates like this to make the cover plates at equidistant, so that there will not be any gap in the member. Now the strength of riveted joint, the shear strength of rivet. As we know, like we can see over here in the shear failure of the rivet, so the area which resists the shear, that is this, that is the cross sectional area of rivet. So this is the double shear case. In case of single shear, only once that area is going to resist. So what is the shear strength of the rivet? That is the cross sectional area multiplied by the permissible shear stress, which is given in the IS code. So what is the strength of one rivet? That is this area pi by 4 into d square into tau vf. And in case of riveted joint having multiple rivets, so we have to multiply the number of rivets to the joints. That is n into pi by 4 into d square into tau vf, because we have the assumption that the entire force has been distributed in the number of rivets which are provided in the joint. And in case of double shear, the strength of one rivet, that is twice, because the cross sectional area cuts twice. So we are going to multiply 2 into pi by 4 d square into tau ef. Now the strength of riveted joint in bearing. So in bearing, as here you can see, this plate tends to crush like this. So the area of resistance is this height and width, that is diameter of the rivet. So this height is the plate thickness of plate, that is T. Here you can see this D diameter and this T, this is the area of which is resisting. So the projected area is D by T into permissible bearing stress, that is sigma PF. And in case of again joint, that is N into that particular strength of a single rivet. The strength of rivet in tearing. So tearing is the uh, tearing of the plate. So as you can see over here, this entire plate's tear. So the area of resistance is this. This area is going to resist. So in this diagram, you can see this area is going to resist along this section. So in this area, we have made the hole for the rivets. So we need to deduct that area. So by deducting that, that is net area along the section into permissible tensile stress in plate, that is B width of plate, into ND, that is number of rivets into diameter, into T, that is thickness, into sigma AT. Sigma AT is nothing but the permissible tensile stress in plate in MPa, which is 0.6 F. So in case of yield stress having 250 MPa, it is 150 MPa. So here it is the strength of rivet. Now the rivet value. The minimum strength of a rivet in shear or bearing is called the rivet value. Efficiency of riveted joint. Efficiency of riveted joint. This is also called as the percentage strength of the riveted joint. The ratio of strength of the joint to the strength of main member expressed in percentage. The effectiveness of particular riveted joint is measured by the efficiency. So here you can see the efficiency, that is strength of riveted joint divided by strength of solid plate into 100. The net section. The section available to resist the stresses after whole of rivets are made is termed as a net section. So here you can see the different patterns, that is chain, staggered chain, then diamond and staggered diamond, the patterns in riveting. So in this chain type, if we consider this section, so here the resistance is or the failure should be in this direction or somewhat like this. So we, while calculating the net section, we have to deduct these holes. So that is the net section available. So in case of staggered chain, the failure some might be like this. It start from this 2 because it has the less edge distance and it can go into this direction. So we need to consider this section as a net section. So we need to check the different possibilities, and according to that we have to finalize the net section, which is having the less area to resist, that becomes a net section. So in diamond pattern you can see for first section only one deduction is there, for second section only two deductions are there, and for last there four deduction are there. So how the failure will occur, according to that we need to check and we have to provide the area. Same in case of staggered diamond. Now the staggered pitch. So this is also known as the alternate or real pitch. It is the distance measured along one rivet line from the center of rivet on it to the center of adjoining rivet or the on a lower or a parallel rivet line. Here you can see the staggered pitch, the distance between these two rivets. That is one rivet from this line and another rivet is from this line. So here you can see the gauge has been mentioned and pitch has been mentioned. As we have discussed earlier, this is an angle section. Now the design procedure of riveted joint. So for the design of a lap joint or butt joint, the thickness of plates to be joined is known, and the joints are to be designed for a full strength of a plate. The design of a structural steelwork force to be transmitted by the joints is known, and the riveted joints can be designed. Following are the usual steps for the design of the riveted joints. So suppose we are designing some joint for the particular section. So we need to calculate the entire force that section can transmit, and for that force we have to design the joint. Sometimes the force has been given, at that time we can take that force for the design as it is. So the step 1, that is the size of the rivet, can be determined by the Unwin's formula. So the size of the plate rivet can be determined by using this formula, that is phi equals to 6.01 into under root t. So here you can see phi is the nominal diameter of the rivet in mm and t is the thickness of plate. So the diameter of the rivet is computed is rounded off to available size of the rivet, because the rivets we are going to purchase from the market, and as per the availability in market we need to decide the size. So the rivets are manufactured in nominal diameters of 12 mm, 14 mm, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, 42 and 48 mm. So these are the sizes which are available in the market. Now the step 2. The strength of rivet in shearing and bearing are computed. Working stresses in rivet and plates are adopted as per IS 800 1984. So as we have seen already, the permissible stresses has been given. So according to that we need to adapt, and the rivet value has been found. So from the strength in shearing and bearing we can compute the rivet value. Now the step 3. In structural steelwork, the force to be transmitted by the riveted joints and the rivet value is known. Hence the number of rivets required can be computed as follows. The number of rivets required in the joint equals to force divided by the rivet value. So this way you will find the number of rivets required that particular joint. The number of rivets thus obtained is provided on one side of the joint, and the equal number of rivets are provided on the other side of the joint. Also also in case of the butt joint, this is applicable only for the butt joint where cover plate has been provided. In case of lap joint, the we don't require this kind of thing because the members has been overlapped. The pitch of the rivet should conform to IS specification with a minimum to achieve economy and compactness. So while deciding the pitch, we need to consider again it should be compact and economical as well. An optimum pitch can be found by equating the tearing strength of the plate to the rivet value. So below you can see the formula, and by that way you can find the optimum pitch. S is the optimum pitch over there. D is the diameter of rivet. D is the thickness, and sigma 8 is the 0.6 Fy. So this is all for today's lecture. Today we have seen the specifications, then strength of the rivet value, efficiency of joint, then the design of rivet, and the net section. So this thing will help you to design a member. Thank you.